Yeah, all I wanted to say was one thing. He said that he went into court and he said he pled guilty for like a small possession of pot. He took such a guilty plea. And I always said that's incredibly dangerous because I'm trying to help people get licensing to like do work in here in Virginia. And they have these criminal records in their past and it's preventing them from getting gainful employment. So all I wanted to ask him was, instead of telling people to plead guilty to something, and it's only in a two-dimensional world and whatever, accepting all the stuff like Gordon Hall used to say, I used to say to them, why don't you just put the plaintiff on a stand? Say it's the United States of America versus Karl Lentz. All I would say is, look, are you saying I got 10,000 kilos of pot in my house, my car? Great. When the United States of America is going to take the witness stand because the plaintiff must appear, under the rules of habeas corpus, I have the right to cross-examine my accuser. So is the United States of America going to stand on the witness stand and point across the courtroom and say, that man sitting in that seat right there had 10,000 pounds of cocaine in his vehicle and it's caused me harm. And he has not compensated me to this date for the harm that he has created and the damage that he's wreaked upon society. So when the plaintiff appears, that's all I would have asked him. Why don't you just demand that the rule of habeas corpus be observed and demand that the plaintiff must appear, point across the room and accuse me of my wrong so I could cross-examine him instead of just saying, well, just plead guilty. You know what? So what? Just accept the charges. I just say, that's ridiculous. And then he was saying something about being tased by a police car and die on your knees or stand on your boots or something like that instead of groveling on the ground. Well, I had a man in Texas call me up the other day and he said, I did exactly what you said, Karl. I put both hands out the window when the guy hit his blue lights. He was doing 70-something miles in the 55. He said the cop came up to the side of the car and said, what are you doing with your hands? He says, well, I know you have your emergency lights on, so you must be on your way to an emergency. So I'm waving you around me because you would not be putting emergency lights on if it's not an emergency. So he goes, no, it's not an emergency, but you were doing 70 whatever miles an hour and 55. I need your driver's license and registration. He said, okay, well, it's like in my pocket. He says, well, step out of the vehicle. And he said to the officer, is that in order? And the officer said, absolutely. So then he said, here's the license and registration. He said, you ordered me to give it to you, right? He says, that's your order, right? I said, okay, here's that. He says, I'm going to check your vehicle. Can you step to the back of the van and put your hands on my car? He says, is that an order? And the policeman said, absolutely, that's an order. So the man started laughing. And the officer said, what's so funny? What are you laughing about? He said, well, you were ordered by your shift commander to get in the car today, right? Right. And the shift commander gets his order from the captain, right? And the captain gets his orders from the chief police commissioner, right? And you guys all get paid for carrying out orders at the end of the week. He says, I'm going to hand you a hell of a bill, and I'm going to expect you to pay me by the end of the week when I carry out your orders. So he said, the policeman said, you're making me nervous. And he gave him back his paperwork, and he got in his car and left. He said, that's what I'm trying to say, accept their orders. He said, oh, is that what you ordered me to do? Oh, good. I'm going to create a hell of a bill, and you're going to pay me, because I'm going to carry out your orders. So instead of like this guy saying, well, he's going to be tased sometimes, and some people got to go down, and they got to fight for their rights. All court is about is money nowadays. So just accept their orders, hand them the bill. They know how to handle orders. They give orders all day. That's all these people do. The judge says, I order you to pay $1,000. Oh, okay. I'll gladly carry out the order. Carry out the order. Give him $1,000. Give him a bill for $2,000. He'll say, what's this? He said, well, you gave me an order for $2,000. I give you $1,000. Yeah, now here's the bill for carrying out the order. Well, I didn't order you. Yes, you did. I heard you say it. She heard you say that. We all heard you say you ordered me. Ordered you to give you 1,000 pancakes or 1,000 Federal Reserve notes. You ordered something from me. I demand compensation. Is that not fair? So see, like I said, the one guy that's a Texas cop just said, you're making me nervous. And he left. Not nervous because he threatened him, but not nervous because he said, oh, I know my rights, and I'm a man, and I can travel from point A to point B. He just said, hey, man, I'll carry out any order you wish me to carry out. I don't care. And I'll just keep giving the orders. I'll hand you a heck of a bill. So like I just said, and like I said, with this name game nonsense and titles, I told those parents in Canada, don't you dare give any state-issued or government-issued paperwork to the court. Don't you dare give them birth certificates and certificates of live birth or passports. Don't you give anything with anything that was created by the state so they can make a vested interest claim in that property. As long as there's no creation from the government, they can't make a vested claim in it. So you just go into court, and their claim was super simple. He just said, I just sent, and her last name, claimed that the property was robbed. And then her property was C Exhibit A, B, C, and D. It was 4 photos of 4 kids, and each kid was named Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit D, Exhibit D, because the government has no right to even ask you what's that child's name. It's none of their business. That's your property. It's exclusive for you to enjoy exclusive to all others within the society. I don't have to give you my name. I don't have to give you their ID. I don't have to give you anything. I'm making a claim that those children are my property. Have you seen these exhibits A, B, C, and D around? If you have, I order that this court produce them and bring them back into my custody immediately. And the folks in Arizona, they said that the wife did the same thing. The judge last week, the judge said to her, "Oh, so you don't want to work with the welfare CPS? You don't want to work with the court? You don't want to work with the social workers? You don't want to work with the attorneys?" And she said, "Nope." She said, I order the immediate return of my property. He said, "Are you really going to sue us? You don't want to cooperate with us?" She said, "I'm going to sue you if I don't get my property right now." So the state started laughing at her, and the social workers were laughing. And the judge looked over the state and said, "You better return her property right now. You know the law." So she got her 3-year-old kid back right there. So it's just that simple. No paperwork, no fancy
great.
Yeah, it's simple. And like I said, if you really knew who the Spanish lady was, if you want to actually email me, I'll send you pictures of her and a kid, and you'll say, "There's no way this Mexican woman got her kid back." And she was arrested for drunken detox and drunken public and fighting with a cop and domestic violence. And they, oh yeah, you better believe they had a litany of things they wanted to do. Domestic violence classes, parenting classes, they wanted to do home studies, home inspections, they wanted to make sure the mom was going to get a job. She didn't do any of that nonsense. She just said, "That's my property, I want to return, I want it now." And the judge said, "What is this $1 a second you're going to sue us for until our property's returned? You really going to carry this out and sue us?" She said, "You're damn right I have." And it was over. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make it simple so moms and dads, or anybody who claims something is their property and the government's got possession. We created the government. Take it. Government's job, government rule, law 1, to secure and protect property. That's the only reason why they exist. If you actually Google that, the government's, the agenda of government, of all governments, is to secure and protect property. That's all it's supposed to do. Like if a little old lady gets robbed, and she's like, "Well, I don't know, I have a man to protect me, so I'm going to run to the sheriff or the posse or my neighbors, and we're all going to get together and we're going to go get the bully who stole my property." So then if there's a dispute between a little old lady and a bully, that's when you're going to settle it civilly before a court. And that's all the government is supposed to do, is secure and protect property. So once you let a judge know, that person across that courtroom, I said to the lady, "Can you point out the lady who took your kid?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Point across to that woman robbed me of my property, and I demand its immediate return." And the judge's job, 1, is once he heard a crime is being committed, he knows that his job is to protect and secure property. Above any other code, above any other rule, above any other law, it's an unwritten law. Everybody knows this is what the government exists, to help protect our property. That's the only reason why we pay them, is to help protect us from people doing us harm. And that's the whole trick. So as long as you tell the judge, "I require of you to secure and protect my property," he is obliged to do it. And he said, "Well, the code says this." And the judge said to the state, "You know the law. Give it back to kids." And like I said on that show, I cut that 10-hour show down to 44 minutes. So folks could just listen to that man call me up. And it was so funny. I didn't know that he got his kids back. Because he said, at the 40-minute mark, he said, "Oh, when serenity was restored." I said, "Yeah, I don't explain any of this kumbaya stuff. What happened?" He said, "Well, serenity was restored." I said, "Yeah. But what happened to the kid?" He said, "When serenity was restored." I said, "Oh, you named your kid Serenity. I thought you said like peace, tranquility, and serenity was restored." I said, "Oh, you really got your kid back?" I said, "Oh, this nonsense I'm doing, actually, it works?" He said, "Yeah, it worked great." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, keep it up." And it's like I said, these judges really know what they're doing. And he was in a family court. So even these family court judges know when you make a requirement of the court to restore property, they will do it. That's job 1. They'll forget about everything else. She had all kinds of charges against her. And it was all problems. If you want to send me an email, Angela, I'll send you a photo of the family so you can see what the lady just looks like. Normal Spanish lady who lives in Arizona. Like a 32-year-old woman. She just looks Joe Normal. Sally six-pack. She don't look like, a rocket scientist. And, she didn't have no money. So,
I love those stories, Karl.
Yeah.
I love people winning, The lady in Canada got her kids back, too.
Yeah, her husband was on a witness stand for like a freaking hour doing this kumbaya stuff, and he flopped on his face. He said he did that on the 45-minute call, too. He also explained. I said, "Well, how did your wife do?" He said, "She did great. She walked up, pointed, said, 'That woman robbed me of our property, and then you need to return our property.'" And the judge said, "Well, you haven't worked with us. You haven't worked with me. You're not cooperating with the court. You're not cooperating with the Crown or the prosecutors. You won't take an attorney. Why should we work with you?" She said, She said, because I was robbed of my property, and I want the property immediately returned to me. He said, you know your job. I want my property returned. And she said, and that is as simple as that. And I said to her, don't get into any elaborate explanations. And she said,
right, she just kept on track.
saying, I was robbed. I'm reporting a robbery. Do your job. I have been robbed. I want my property returned and restored, and I mean now. So that's when he took the recess, and then the next day they came across the lobby, and the Crown came around and said, who wrote this little 2-sentence ditty? She said she did, so it was great. That was great. And she said, well, the Crown scared poopless from whoever wrote this, and when do you want your kids back? Because as soon as you make a claim for property, everybody knows in the English-speaking common law world, the government only exists to secure and protect property. Make the claim. So if you call them children, children is not spelled the same way as property, so unless you tell them that property and children is the same word, they just know what the children as something other than property. So you have to define everything as property. And then if you want to make an exhibit of your car, say, I want my property returned. And then put an exhibit of your car, Exhibit A. Don't say, I want a return of my 2008 Cadillac Escalade. Say, a return of my property. Have anybody seen it? See Exhibit A. And the judge will say, yeah, we saw it at the impound yard. Yeah, well, I guess we got to give it back to them. Yeah, you go.
Somebody's got their hand up here. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that'd be good. That way I don't have to do a call.
Go ahead, Illinois. You've been unmuted.
What's up, Karl? Hey, this got to be Dan in North Carolina.
Nah, this is Malik.
Oh, Malik in Chicago.
Hi, Malik.
Just trying to catch up with you, man.
Oh, man, you got no idea how busy I am.
I hear you talking about this a lot, Karl, when you say that all you got to do...
Hold on a second. Karl, back off a little bit. You're breathing heavy into the mic.
Okay, I'll mute myself.
Okay. Go ahead, Malik.
Okay, I hear Karl saying a lot. All someone has to do is go in and basically ask, where's the plaintiff? And it has to be, of course, every person has a right to face their accuser. I got the basic point of that. But then sometimes he says you can't go in their courtroom and do that. But then I think I'm kind of understanding that now are you saying, Karl, that you can go in their courtroom and do that? Because I know
when it comes to getting your kids back.
I'm speaking of even like in any kind of,
Okay, well, what happened with her? Okay, this is the dynamics of the fluid shift of a jurisdictional change, and the judge witnessed it. She went from they had a family court under some sort of Arizona code or Canadian code, but then when the judge heard something uttered under the common law, he realized that what she uttered was now over and above whatever was being heard before the court. She created a minute order, a minute order. What she did is that all a minute order is, a minute order is now the judge has been made aware of a new order, like she ordered the immediate return of her property. He's going to write it into the record that this order was now created before the court. That's why it's called a minute order, like on the spot. All of a sudden somebody just came up with it based upon new information they heard, or they say, somebody, like say you would sue me, Malik, and say, no, Karl, I didn't take 10 grand from you, Karl. I took 20 grand. It's like, Judge, I'd like the record to reflect that now my order is not to have $10,000 restored, but 20, and the judge would say, okay, the order has been reflected to, for Malik's new testimony, and new evidence being presented to the court, so a new order is being created. She created an order right on the spot. So all of a sudden, there you go. And that's what happened with you with the Secretary of State. I told you a million times, you're not the defendant, you're the plaintiff. So you must be the one who points across the room, and you thought I was crazy until the Secretary of State said, no, Malik, you are the moving party. You are the plaintiff. You're like, what? I said, dude, I'm telling you. That's how the government's flipped this around on us, because then we're burdened with the proof, not them, because they can't move a claim against a man. So, makes it fun. That's how they do it to you all the time.
Okay, so in a situation where you got, like, let's just say, because that's in family court. Now, let's just say you got a situation where you're in traffic court. Does it work the same? Because I've heard you say many times, like, if you're the defendant or the plaintiff, then you don't have a chance.
You'd put it in writing, and this would basically make the case drop instantly like a hot potato. I wouldn't wait for court. Send it over to the prosecuting attorney, prosecuting cop, prosecuting anything. ESCOM has the right of habeas corpus been suspended for this matter? They might actually tell you yes. They might say, well, you know what, you're bound under some sort of statute, under some contract between you and DMV. So yes, habeas corpus does not exist at this present time in this matter before this court. It's okay, lovely. And that's what I'm saying. That's when you can't say, well, the city of Chicago's, getting you for a traffic ticket. You say, well, have the city of Chicago take the witness stand and appear. The judge says, and the other side says, no, we're not suspending habeas corpus. Well, then use the old habeas corpus rule. I think it's rule number 2 or rule number 5, where the plaintiff must appear and the defendant has the right to cross-examine the plaintiff. That's like rule number 2. The plaintiff must produce the body. That's what habeas corpus is. He must produce what he believes is the wrongdoer. And then number 5 is where you get the chance to cross-examine that guy. So, like I said, and then the other thing you could say is, like, somebody said to me about a DUI. I said, oh, when you get charged with a DUI. I said, why don't you say no? Not only was I drunk, I was sniffing crazy glue. I was doing Gold Flake pain. I was on PCP and mescaline. I was on I was licking toads. Honestly, I was just a really effed up man going from point A to point B. No, I was not operating under the license at that time. So if you want to say that I was a really effed up man at that moment in time, going from point A to point B, okay, that's fine. Does anybody ever claim that I caused any harm to them, to that injury to their property, or any financial loss, or did I breach any contract with anybody saying I won't get effed up and drive from point A to point B on a planet at any time I wish? But you never accept that you were operating under that. You'd have to make them prove that you're operating under the license at that time. That's what I'd make them do. Prove it. Prove I was operating under that license at that time, and would you believe that I was in violation of that contract or policy that I signed with the DMV when I was 18 years old? Prove it. Prove I was operating under the license. You know what I'm saying? I'd put the burden of proof of them to make them prove that I was operating under the license at the time. I said, no, I was just a drunk, crazy man going from point A to point B. If I caused anybody harm, any wrong, no. Well, then what's your case? What's your case against me? I wasn't operating under the license at that time. Does it kind of make sense?
It makes sense. I'm just trying to put it all.
Yeah, take a little. You just got to sit and look up at the ceiling tiles and ponder that.
I get what you're saying, because I've actually researched some, some jurisdictional issues too. And part of the 7 elements of jurisdiction is that it's got to be a live, identifiable person under the 7 elements of jurisdiction. So it does make sense what you're saying.
Well, it depends. If it's Pepsi against Coca-Cola, obviously they're not going to have it. So there's some sort of a contract there within a fictional entity and a fictional world that fuck each other. That's fine, because their chart, the government could lift their chart and the government can destroy them. The government could lift your license, like what you're trying to do. You're trying to restore your license. And I'm trying to tell you, well, why don't you just get a state ID card, show proof of financial responsibility with the Secretary of State, get a blessing or his blessing that says that, hey, you know what? He's a company. It's like in Maryland. That's all you need to do in Maryland. Is you don't need insurance. You just need proof of financial responsibility. And you can drive from point A to point B. Nobody's going to give you a hard time. If you want to actually get, I say get state issue ID. That way you can get a passport and go across the country, and you get stopped by a cop. He's not going to give you all kinds of agita. You just hand them the paperwork from the Secretary of State's office. Make sure when you're going around, make sure you give it to the Cook County Sheriff's Department, and then make sure you give it to the city's police, and that way when they call up, they say, oh yeah, we got his thing on file. Yeah, we know that guy. He's all right. Let him go.
Right, yeah.
No. Did he injure anybody? No. Well, he's really drunk. I'm like, ask him if he wants a ride home. Then let him go.
Yeah, see, that's... Okay, I guess because we haven't gotten into a conversation in a while. I've been trying to get in contact with you to kind of talk to you about some things. Because I actually had one of my friends go to court. And this is for the same thing, for DUI. And he actually basically told them to, who is the state of Illinois? Can the state of Illinois take the stand? And they basically just ran right over what he said and told him, like, receive filed a motion for demand for trial. And so it was like, it just basically, just went on ahead forward. Even though he kept saying, produce the party, basically. They're not going to recognize you in open court verbally. You're going to have to put it in writing, just like what you did with the Secretary of State. You have to put it in writing. You send it to her, you send it to whoever the person who's moving a claim against you, the city, the county, the state, and definitely make sure you do CCC at the bottom, CC where you're sending it to the Secretary. So everybody sees that you're getting everybody involved here.
You see what I'm saying? So you're keeping everybody on guard. You know, you send it like 3 or 4 different state entities or city entities, so everybody realizes, you know, you're not going to get away with this. You're going to have to move a proper claim against me. I'm a man, you're going to have to move your claim. This is still common law. Have I caused any harm, loss, or injury? No. Okay. Well, then what are you relying upon? Some statute, some contract between me and DMV? Well, I wasn't operating at that time under that contract, under that law. At all times, you know, Angela's had thousands of guys come on explaining how you're not operating under the license at that time.
Right. I mean, I get it.
I'm not the first guy saying this.
I get it. I you know, listen to the calls over and over again, but like I said, I've heard you say, like, the one time, like, you can't go in their court doing that. That's considered a plaintiff, and it sounds like I'm hearing you say you can do that, but you must put it in writing before.
Oh yeah, the way that lady did it was, well, what it was they already had a claim in that court on Thursday. So when they went to court on Monday, you know, to have a hearing over the paperwork that they put in on Thursday, plus the Crown was moving their case into that courthouse, into that courtroom at that time. They just happened to get lucky, and they had their paperwork already in front of the judge at the same time. So he had already examined it on Thursday, so he already knew what they were going to get hit with on Monday. So when Hughes heard it on Monday, you know, hers is a first in line, first in time. You know, he had to hear her claim. She made the claim. And he's like, oh, well, what am I going to do? You know, what she said was, there's nothing I can do. I'm bound by the letter of the law. I was heard that somebody robbed their property, and she could actually point out who robbed them. And that's what the lady said. She said there was 20 witnesses against them. When he came back on Tuesday, all 20 witnesses withdrew. 20 affidavits were taken out of the court case file. And nobody wanted to testify against them anymore, because only her and her husband had proved whose property that is, because it's exhibit A, B, C, and D. Not birth certificate under this name, birth certificate under this name, wife birth certificate under this name. No, none of that government-issued nonsense. Only they could prove that that property was truly what they said it was. The Crown couldn't prove anything. Nobody's going to take the stand and say, oh, was that, you know, who was those children? I don't know. I just got custody of them 6 months ago. I don't know. Everybody want to make a claim for these? No, I'm not going to claim. So, you know, would you? And like I said, you could hear those folks. He does his own show up in Canada now with some other guy named Mika or something like that. And they're trying to help people get their kids back, too. But like I said, kids are the same thing as anything. Like a car. Anything that you believe is your property. Just say Exhibit A. Don't bring in your title. Don't bring in your registration card. Don't bring in all this nonsense. Just say, have you seen this car? I believe it's locked up at this city impound yard. I've demanding immediate return. Well, somebody's going to make a claim that I owe them a debt. Now, I don't see anybody making a claim that you owe me a debt, that I owe them a debt. I don't see anything before the court. So return my property immediately. If somebody wants to file a claim that I owe them a debt in the future, I'll be back to compensate them for me not settling something on a private side with them between here and the time I'd be in court. But believe me, I'll settle something with them. You'll never see me in court again. Just return my property. Like these folks in Canada said, they've never heard another word from any of the Crown attorneys or CPS, nothing. You know, in the last 6-7 months, they said it's been a nice, quiet life up there. So, yeah, but this is great, Ange. Thanks for letting me talk, because I don't want to do a show of my own tonight.
Oh, good. You know, Vic is on Skype saying he can come back on. Let me see if I can get him back here.
I'll give you a call, Karl.
All right, well, all right.
Conversation. Let's see here. Talk shoe. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Hold on a second. Okay, and let's see here. Talk shoe. Conversation. Add people. Let's see if I can do this. I'll get it back on real quick. Let's see here.
Okay. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, who is this?
No idea.
Illinois? Oh, that's not Illinois. It's not Karl Lentz. I don't know. Did I call somebody by accident? I'm on TalkShoe, and I'm on Skype. Let's see here. Oh no, Vic is supposed to. No. I'm trying to get Vic back on here, so let's see here. I think I have to hang up. I'm not sure.
Well, see if he wants to come on my show. That'd be great, because I'd really like to hear what he's got to say. I love other people's point of views.
Well, why, are you going to have a call?
No, Saturday. On Saturday.
Oh, on Saturday.
That'd be great.
Hello? Who is that? Who's saying hello? Is that you, Vic?
Nope. You haven't called me in yet.
I haven't called you in yet? Well, I don't see where you are here.
How are you hearing me then?
I don't know. Isn't that weird? Are you on the talk show call?
Well, I'm on Skype anyhow.
You're on Skype? Oh, maybe are you staying with Vic back?
I'm here, yep. That's me.
Is that you, Vic?
Yeah.
Oh my God, well, geez.
Interesting.
You sound totally different.
Can you hear me very well?
I can hear you, like, really well.
Okay, perfect. I won't play with anything then.
No, don't touch anything. I just don't know where you are on. Okay, well. I don't know. I kept clicking on it trying to get you, and that's really interesting. Okay, so you're on, right?
I'm on. I'm just on through Skype. I'm not on the talk show.
Okay. Well, you are on the talk show.
Yeah, but I'm coming through Skype.
Yeah.
Whoever was talking.
You sound so much better than you did on the other.
Oh, that's good. So everything's working here then.
Yeah, so continue on.
I was just going to say I was enjoying listening to whoever was talking there.
That was Karl.
Karl, okay. Yeah. Can you come on my show on Saturday? Because I'd love to go around with you. You're pretty good. I like you. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what's the number there? Like, how do I call in? It's that 127-469, and Angela usually listens on Saturday too, so we got a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, it's on the website. It's on My Private Audio. If you look at the talk show guide, it says Karl Lentz. But go ahead and give him the number again.
Hey, here's my email address. It's courtofrecord@gmail.com.
Courtofrecord@gmail.com. Okay, but your call number is what?
Oh, yeah, it's 127-469.
127-469.
What's that, talk show?
That's on talk show. The call-in number is 724-444-7444. Same number.
Yep.
And but he's on Saturday at what time, Karl?
Well, I talked to the folks in England at 6 o'clock p.m., Eastern time, and we usually talk until about 11 o'clock at night. And then sometimes we do 2 shows until 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So sometimes it gets crazy. So I can help the folks in England, because it's 11 o'clock GMT their time. So I talk to them from 6 until about 9, and then I do the USA folks and Canadians until about 11.
Yeah, I had to split those calls up into 2 days of listening, Karl. I thought there was something wrong with my computer when I seen 4 hours or something. It's 4 hours or something.
Yeah, they got me on a roll. Somebody said something that set me off, and I said, we're going to keep this going. So we're going to get this straightened out once and for all. and we just kept it going. It was crazy.
Well, I got some good questions for you and the other gentleman that's on the other side of the line.
Right. Oh, yeah, the man was asking us, should I invite Bill Thornton? Yeah, I talked to him on Christmas Eve about that stuff, so. Yeah, some lady in England recorded that one. So, about the counterclaim. Why you all use a counterclaim. You don't use a counterclaim against the government, obviously, because everything they file is a criminal complaint. It's not a claim, because the government cannot make a claim, because nobody from the government is ever going to step upon the witness stand and point across the room and make the claim true. All they can do is make a complaint, and then obviously the magistrate, the judges, and the jury is going to verify or come down with a verdict whether or not there's any validity to that complaint. You know, if you're going to complain, no, because the other side, nobody on the other side is going to step forward and make a claim. So that's why a man can make a claim, but the government, nobody from the government is going to make a claim. They're only going to make a complaint, and they're only going to use proposed orders. You can't generate orders, so they can only propose orders to the court. So if you say, you know, but a man, he can create the order, and that order stands true unless it's rebutted. But
well, see, sorry, Karl, that's kind of what I was getting at before. I wanted to say is see, when you're writing a check, you're basically giving an order to the bank. It's the same thing when we're dealing with the name and property. We're in the position to give the orders, right?
Correct, as a man, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, when I go to court, if the government's trying to move against me, like I said, you probably heard that habeas corpus thing, then what I do when I go to court is that I won't lower myself to make a counterclaim or counter-complaint, because if I do, then obviously I'm relinquishing my status of standing and I'm dropping myself down to that of a fictional entity. Well, why would I want to diminish my status? If you see what I'm saying? It's like self-evident. Why would I want to do something like that? So I'm going to always stand in this position of a man. And then if the government says, wait a second, I created you. You didn't create me. I'm not chartered. You're chartered. You're constituted. You're contracted to operate for my benefit. At any point, I believe that you're no longer a benefit from me. I'm going to yank your charter. Just like you yanked Coca-Cola and Pepsi's charter, I'm going to yank yours. So it's just a hierarchy thing. Like, why would I want to diminish my status to being that subject to that of a government entity? That wouldn't make any sense. Why would I want to act as a corporation, a fictional entity?
Well, that's right, then. You're giving them the power.
And that would never happen with me. I guarantee that. I have a lot of fun when I go to court. And the judges all laugh. They say, oh, that's good, that's funny. Haven't seen that one. It's like, yeah, it is kind of funny. So like I said, I have a great time when I go to court or getting stopped by a cop. And like I said, I want to have that man come on, that man Lentz. He's really good with herbal remedies and all kinds of stuff. But he actually does satellite dishes, and he was speeding, trying to get home to get on my call, and he said he got stopped, so I'm going to let him explain what happened with just accepting orders. You know, what you're saying is all cops believe that they're just carrying out orders. So the cop will just say, look, it's nothing personal, I'm just carrying out orders. Oh, good. So you know what an order is. Good. So you know when anybody places an order at Pancake House or anyplace else, I'm going to be compensated for the creation of your order. Right? Okay, good. I'll be burdened. I'll make you 10,000 pancakes. But you know what? Honestly, I don't know who you are, so I'm going to need some collateral or some bond or something up front to carry out your order, or just carry out the order. You just say, well, he's got deep pockets, then send him the bill. And he's like, what? Oh, you need the bill of particulars? I'll attach that too as well, or the invoice. That's fine. But I demand to be compensated. Well, you're not demand, you're required to be compensated. The difference between require and demand, a man can require something, the government can't make a requirement because a requirement is derived from rights. So you have a right and to demand something based upon your authority. So a government doesn't have rights. They have duties, obligations, and responsibilities, but a man has rights. So you require something of the court. You require the judge. You require the black rule court. You make a requirement of the court to do X, Y, and Z, or to restore X, Y, and Z. And the judge realizes, uh-oh, you're not making a demand. Nope. I'm making a requirement. And the judge will say, oh, you're doing it by authority and by and. So you can Google it. The requirement means authority and by right. The state might, or the government has authority, but they have no rights. So to make a requirement upon another man, you must have authority, and it must, and by right. If you're missing one of them, it's not a requirement. So that's how I do it when it comes to simple paperwork. That's why everything I do is 2-3 sentences long, and boom, we're done. And a lot of folks who I do this with, you know, like Mr. Gordon Hall, I used to talk to him all the time. But he's like, he wanted to go for the big fish and make 10,000 documents, and he says, Karl, you're not going to make any money with what you're doing. I said, dude, I know, honestly. What do I charge? $5, $10? I said, but look, let's hit him with massive volume. Let's do Walmart. Let's just send out volume. Maybe something will come back our way. He says, nope. He says, I'm going for the... I don't know if you knew, Gordon Hall, at one time, had the biggest house west of the Mississippi. His house was so big, he was speaking of San Simeon, his granddaughter's first house, his house was so big, he had an ice skating rink in his living room.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and other people on call might not really know who Gordon Hall is. You know,
I actually looked it up, and everything you say is like, it's true.
His house was so freaking big, he wrote Gordon Hall's house on the roof, so when people were landing in Maricopa County Airport out there, they were flying over his house. It's like, oh, that's Gordon Hall's house. That's how big his house was. So, see, he wanted to make big bucks quick. And he wanted to, but me, I just like, look, I'm going to show people how to do it in 2-3 sentences or less, get their property restored, and go back home. These people don't
and his greed got him put in prison.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody sent me his psych eval. Did anybody else who's listening get Gordon Hall psych evaluation sent
No. Send it to me.
It was funny. The doctor said we've been observing his the capacity to stand in court from the minute that we took him into custody. So, man, they knew right off the bat they better start watching this guy because they knew. He was, I said, this is ridiculous. And somebody actually sent me a federal prison or penitentiary doctor's case file on the psychological evaluation of one of the inmates there. I'm like, who are these people sending me this stuff?
That's amazing they did that. How did they get that?
Yeah, and why? I guess they just thought it'd be funny if I read it. And because they know he's, what he's going to try.
Really?
They know he's going to try to accept it. Right. They know he's going to try to accept it as value. So obviously, they're going to show that he's incompetent to even address the court. But my style would be super simple. I'd just say, hey, you know what? I'll be glad to accept any responsibility for any wrong that I've done. It's just I would just like to see the plaintiff to appear. Now, will the United States of America take the stand and point across the room and say, it's me, Gordon Hall, has done something wrong? Just do it. And I got my checkbook here. I'll write out. I'll start working out some payment plans, and I'll compensate everybody and all who claims I've done them wrong. I want to settle all debts.
But isn't there someone that he harmed?
If he did, a whole bunch of little. It wasn't so much him. He was just showing the guy who.
No, he did an injury for that guy. He was laundering the guy's money.
Right. He was showing the guy how to do offshore banking and move money in and out of But the man who's actually doing like the gold swinging the little old ladies, that wasn't Gordon. Gordon was just showing the guy how to manipulate like the IRS and how to go around, the banking system in this country. That's all he was doing.
He's trying to save
he harmed me because he took my money and didn't help.
He sets in and it screws up everything.
Yeah, he took $2,000 from a league and $2,000 from a league's friend. Yeah, I remember. Gave him absolutely nothing.
I hate that. Don't let that happen to you, Karl.
Well, that's why all my stuff is open source. So like what the man was saying about singing songs and selling songs, it's like, look, my stuff on my website is open source. I get kind of upset when I hear people are selling my documents to other people. Like, what are you doing that for? It's like, well, we got to make it created, and I'm not even charging people to take my documents. If you could create them...
Vic doesn't charge anybody, doesn't do any work for anybody.
Yeah, some man on your show tonight, he just said something. He says, Karl, look at this link that I just created, something using your stuff and mixing it with my stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really good. See, now that's what I want to see.
Well, that's the whole point of doing these calls.
Yeah, I don't want to see zombies. Right, I don't want to see zombies. I don't want to see disciples. I want to see somebody who takes my stuff, expands on it, and actually makes it better. It's like, wow, that's good. You know what? I even like my stuff better now. Thank you, buddy. So it's like,
open source is a good thing.
Yeah. Imitation is a source of flattery, whatever they say. So I have no problem with that. I love it when people come back with my stuff and say, oh, you know what, that's good. That's good. Let me tweak it a little bit, but you know what? Hey, that's another little nugget there. I like that. That's tight. I like that. And it just helps everybody. And the faster we can move, these guys are stuck. These guys are stuck in a legal society. These guys are stuck in a rigid set of black and white law, letter of the law in the book. They can't, it's not fluid and dynamic. We can do whatever we want. We are unbound. Man is not restricted. We're not bound to the letter of the law. We're dynamic. We could do whatever we wish. And there's nothing they can do to stop us, and they're bound. So that's what makes this a lot more fun, because you could catch them and bind them and make them what else we call government, maintain a position. They're governed by a certain set of rules, policies, procedures that are written, and they must follow to the letter of the law. We can do whatever we wish, and we're not bound.
Nick, are you still on the call?
I am so.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, jump in. Yeah, jump in if you want, Rick.
And Karl can go non-stop for 4 hours, 8 hours.
Do it, man. That's
better someone else sometimes.
Well, it's good to get other people's point of views. I think that's the whole idea of
That's it.
learning and grasping little tidbits here and there from everybody, and then you owning it, as they say, putting it into your own way, your own words.
That's what I think Vic was good for. I think Vic was good for explaining equity. Is that what you like to do, Vic?
Yes and no.
Yeah, because equity has its merits. Equity has its place, obviously. I think it's kind of quite beneficial at times to bound them to the letter of the law, and I actually want to be bound to the letter of the law as well at times when I want a contract like observed, if it's in my benefit and my pay. But like I said, so some people were saying to me, Karl, you don't like equity. I said, it all depends. If it's a benefit, I'll use it. If it's not a benefit, I choose not to use it. Like a birth certificate, sometimes it's a benefit. At other times it's not. A driver's license, at times it's a benefit. Other times it's not. I have the right to exercise. If I want to exercise my left hand, it's a benefit to exercise my left hand, I will. If it's not a benefit, I choose not to exercise. It's a benefit. It's a benefit to exercise. You have that document, you can use it for your benefit. If it's going to be a detriment, I don't have to use it. You can't force me or compel me to perform under that document. You can't force me or compel me to exercise. You can't do it. I have that right. And if you're going to compel performance of me, well, then I want compensation, because there is no involuntary servitude or slavery permitted upon this land, except for based upon like a criminal conviction or something like that, or a what's the other word they use? A criminal conviction, or by your consent. And that's where they track you. They track you all the time, because they're going to bring this piece of document into the court and say, oh, so you consented. See, so you can't claim involuntary servitude because you consented. Well, that's our 13th Amendment up here, or down here. But that's would be good if you want to explain equity to, if you want to come on my Saturday show and do equity a little bit, that'd be great, because a lot of people just are hardcore common law, and I try to tone them down a little bit. I said, look, man, everything, it can't just be common law. Sometimes you got to go into the two-dimensional paper world. It'll be of a great benefit at times. It makes commerce and moving paperwork and moving, product from point A to point B and move like lightning. You can just show documents, and people have to trust each other that these documents are honorable and certifiable, and we're going to rely upon each other's good word, and we're going to put it in writing to make the magic happen. So some people are terrified of the paper, and they refuse to get bound by any kind of paperwork, and I'm like, look, sometimes it's a great benefit. So, well, that's what I got to say, Ange. I mean, thanks for letting me come on and finish it, because I did not want to start another call this time of night.
Yeah, you did. You were
pushing
for it.
Oh, no. I got the finger on the button, the start button. Oh, no. I'm going to close that page down now.
Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your wisdom with the group. We still have 100 people on here, so everybody's interested in listening. I love these things. This is a good call. You and Vic back together on one call is pretty interesting. Vic, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I'm getting a little tired. It's been a really long day for me. We're traveling on the road today. Get home in time.
Okay. Well, we can call it a night.
Yeah, I don't see anybody.
Brain's a little frazzled.
Well, you need to unfrazzle your brain. Get some sleep. Get some rest. Whatever. Have a nice hot toddy.
None of those around here. Oh, you mean the drink?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I'm kidding.
I know.
I knew that.
All right, well, let's call it a night then. Karl, you're going to have your call on Saturday. Vic, I hope you can join in. I'll try to catch it also.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll get on there for sure.
Yeah, you get some rest so that you'll have a nice, clear brain.
No worries. Okay, that's good.
All right, we love you. Take care.
Appreciate the opportunity. Love everybody. Thanks for coming on. Thanks very much, Karl. It's great to hear you. I've never heard you before. I like it.
Oh, thank you. All right, thanks a lot, Vic. Hopefully we'll get together. We'll figure out something.
On Saturday, we'll have another go at it. All right, everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vic.
I was just going to say I'll try to get on that call with Karl there on Saturday. Listen in.
Yeah. Be good.
Cool. All righty. Good night, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Good night. Good night, Karl. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming on. It's been fun. We went 3 hours and 17 minutes. Oh, my God.
Thanks for the opportunity, Victoria.
Oh, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
You calling me by my Skype name, that's so cute. Vic and Victoria.
That's it. Victoria.
Victoria.
Or Vittorio. Okay, good night.
Good night. Good night, Karl. Good night, everybody. I love you, and we'll see you next time. Good night, Maggie. Good luck to you, too. Bye, Karl. We'll see you Saturday. Everybody else, you try to get on Karl's call Saturday, which would be good. Oh, I should mention that I got a card from John Stewart. I sent him a postcard. He sent me one back. Said he's doing all right. He's hanging in there. Pray for him. And if you've got it, you can send him a donation so he can eat, or get his quiet title workbook